Is this a DJI return to home screen? No, it's the Atom 2. And this is a firmware update that folks have been waiting for. Hey there, this is Mike with the Drone Passport channel. Thank you very much for joining me for this video presentation. So recently Potensic had a firmware update, and this is what's happened to the return to home screen. A welcome addition, as you can see, the pathway to home. But we'll get to that feature in a little more detail in just a moment. But right now, what I want to do is test some additional things with this particular drone and see if there were any significant updates that needed to be noted. So as you can see, I begin with my customary view of Sawney Mountain and see how everything's working with that. And of course, there's no remarkable changes there. So now I'm going to transition into a Waypoint mission. Now, I have not flown Waypoint missions with this drone since March, so I decided to use a Waypoint mission, last created then, and this particular Waypoint mission is not exactly the most perfect one, but it will certainly serve the purpose of this video and illustrate one of the weaknesses of Waypoint missions here. So as you can see, we are beginning our pathway, and we are away from the golf course, facing more towards Sawney Mountain. We should be beginning a turn to the left here momentarily. Now, this is where it's going to start turning left, and you notice there is a stop. And now it's making the turn to the left, and it's heading toward the open field. And again, it stops. There's the open field. I do not venture over there because this drone is a little loud, and also I'm having some signal issues. All right, this is heading back toward the golf course, and we have another stop. All right, we are now heading south. We have another stop. Now we're heading directly south. We're directly over the trees that separate holes number 2 and holes number 5. Of course, 5 is where my good friend is located. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And there's another stop. Now the drone is going to move toward the left. Again, not over the golf course. And there's another stop. And there it is in its glory, the dreaded pond. And another stop because it's about to make another turn. So these stops are like, they have a 1 second interval between them, and for smooth videography, that's really not acceptable. And I know I'd mentioned that in a prior video, but that's really just troublesome to deal with these pauses. And there's another one. So if you're counting at home, I'm up to 8. But anyway, as I started to say, these pauses make videography very difficult to be able to do because of these stops. Now you can certainly edit out the delay, but that would just require a lot of work to drill it down to the nth detail. Okay, there's stop number 9. At this point, I'm thinking I'm going to stop this waypoint mission and return to home because this is just painful. All right, now we return to home, and this is the feature I teased at the beginning. As you can see, there is the augmented reality and the looks like a runway of sorts at night with all of the lights, and that's a pretty cool feature to be able to see that. And we're going to now begin our descent to the home point. And there's also one other item that's been added with this firmware update. And the landing, don't judge this video. I have another video that has an actual better landing. But the landing that I did yesterday, I did 2 landings and it landed perfectly on the target. Today, not so much because I think the landing pad is part in shadow and part in sunlight, but as it gets closer to the ground, you can see that there is an outline of a drone, and that looks very familiar to those of us who use the DJI drones. So quite interesting to see that. So this firmware update obviously updated the AR return to home, which certainly gives a better visual, and also, as I noted from my testing yesterday, it landed directly on the pad with no issue. So perhaps return to home guidance is in place. That I don't know. I haven't been able to find anything pertaining to that, but certainly it did a great job yesterday. I think, again, as I stated, the issue may have been because of the shadows and the light as to where the pad was located. That may have created the issue. But anyway, I hope this video was informative. Coming up, one of my next videos will be a showdown between the Atom 2 and the Skyrover S1. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, in closing, this is Mike. I want to thank all the subscribers who belong to this channel, and if you're not already a subscriber, I invite you to join, and if you could give me a thumbs up, that would be appreciated. Thanks everyone, and bye for now.